What's going on, everybody? It's Devontae back with another installment or episode. I really never know which word to use for the artificial struggle, which is our struggle by our own design. My only concern is my next move. I am not typically concerned about what will happen. I try to analyze for it, but I don't spend more time there than I do making the next decision. And so, what does that look like? Before we get into the chart that I've created, a little drawing a sketch to give you a better idea of what this looks like, I guess I'll give you an example of anticipating the next move and then taking action instead. For instance, when changes start to happen in the pipeline of any position or role you have, so the company starts to make these changes, the person that I am is I'm less concerned about the changes being made and more. I use the word concern, but that is just a word. It's not necessarily the right one. I'm more focused on my next move after those decisions. So I guess I'll kind of go over a flow chart to show you guys exactly what I mean. As you guys can see here, this is basically the flow chart I figure out for whether or not I should be concerned with what happened or what I should do next. And the hint here is I'm only concerned about what I do next. So, starting at the very top is, do we have an issue? We got a problem? Well, no, is there an issue, right? So, there's two options in this flowchart. And it's not a very good flowchart, but it's mine, so it's good to me. Yes, if we have an issue, and then no, if we don't have an issue. So, we'll start with no since it's shorter. If there's no issue, I ignore and move on, whatever that looks like. So if that's severing a relationship, if that's continuing to do my work, if that's ignoring what somebody says, I'm notorious for that. If somebody says something that is kind of outside of what they should be feeling comfortable saying to me, I'll look at them and then look away, or I won't say anything. These are like your uncontrollables or things that are insignificant. So is there an issue? No, move on. Ignore and move on. The next one is, if there's an issue and yes, the next question that I ask is, can it be resolved? If not, we ignore and move on. So if it's an uncontrollable, but if it is an issue, can it be resolved? If it can, hey, I have another question for you. Do I want to? And so there's not very many people I feel obligations to sustain meaningful relationships with. I'm just being honest. I'm a little different than a lot of people when it comes to that kind of stuff. So there's only a few people that I actually feel obligations, and I say this in air quotes. You can't see it right now. I'm holding my mic and my camera. So do I want to resolve the issue? If the answer is no, there's actually two answers. So I'll start with yes. Do I want to resolve it? Yes, I do want to resolve it. What's my next move? Is the next question I ask. So from the top down, issue, yes. Can it be resolved? Yes. Do I want to? Yes. Next move. What is the next thing I want to do to resolve that issue? But what if I don't want to resolve it? Do I want to? No. No has this invisible circle around it for a reason. There's two different answers for no. Do I want to resolve it? No. Then I ignore it and move on because it's obviously not important to me. But there's one other answer for no. Do I want to resolve it? I can, but do I want to? And the answer is no. Then what's my next move? So I'll ask what's my next move again because maybe I'm going to do something to change this, but not necessarily resolve it, right? Resolving it is kind of like a middle ground, right? I don't want to do any negotiating for this thing. I don't want to do any compromise. I actually want to change it, and I'm notorious for this. I will change something before compromising, and it's not necessarily a strength all the time. I'm just saying that this is a personality trait. I will sooner change something and experiment with something new than compromise on something I don't want to compromise on. Is if I don't want to resolve it, I will actually go and plan something new. Whatever that looks like, whether that means confronting the issue or finding a new option. What is next move? What does that look like? It's three things that I can identify when I was writing out this entire chart, but it's three things that I can identify. It's reflection. So there's a spiritual component. What did I learn from this? What can I learn from this? Plan of action. What can I do about it exactly that's going to warrant the best results? And then consistent execution. Daily strides at getting the result that I want. My only concern is my next move. It's not so much about what other people will do. As you might think, this doesn't serve me in certain situations, like especially where compliance is being tested. Like I said, I'm easy to work with, but this doesn't stop me from acting in the direction that I think is most beneficial for me. So it's not a highly desirable trait if you want subservience out of someone. But this is just how I choose to deal with things. And yeah, this is pretty much what I do. I plan that next move for the most part about things that I know I can control. And even if there is a potential resolution, I then ask myself if I actually care to have a resolution or if I care to do what I please. And a lot of times it ends up being that. So I focus on that next move. So what do you guys do? What do you think about the flow chart? And what would you do differently? Let me know.